Hello, once again. I believe we can start. Dear Minister, Your Excellencies, guests, friends, students, and all the FinTech Breakfast participants. My name is RTU Riga. I'm Vice Rector for Strategic Development at Riga Technical University, and it's my great pleasure to welcome you all here today at Riga Technical University. You know, Riga Technical University is more than 160 years old, and we constantly develop ourselves, and we see that this event is a perfect fit to our new strategy. Because we see ourselves not only as an institution that cares for study process and research, but we care a lot about collaboration with the industry. There are a lot of different initiatives that has been started in the previous year. For example, last year, Riga Technical University actively started participating and providing support to the national institutions and governments in digitalization activities, to the Ministry of Finance and State Income Agency, trying to solve potential fraud in not paying taxes and so on. This year we have continued our collaboration with the Ministry of Economics and other ministries. But I believe that today's event, when we're talking about the Business Finance Centre activities, and this FinTech Breakfast really depicts the activities, how we see ourselves bringing closer collaboration with the industry. And if we talk about FinTech, I believe you know it's all about data, finance, and technology, and it's the same as Riga Technical University's core activities. We as well care a lot about data, technologies, and people, so we believe that these activities that have brought you here are closely linked with the general aims that Riga Technical University is trying to achieve. I'm really happy that today there's the possibility for you to see the activities that the Baltic Finance Centre has done so far. You will see the new observatory tool, which we believe is a great help, not only for the industry, but as well for our students that help to develop professionals and talented people that afterwards would come and work in your industry. So, from my perspective, I believe it's a great fit that you are here today. I'm looking forward for great and really extensive discussions and a great added benefit to both academia and the industry. So, I would like to give a floor as the next speaker, Ines, who is Director of Riga Business School. Thank you and have a great day today.
Thank you very much, Arturs, and I'm very happy to welcome you here at Riga Business School. And we at Riga Business School actually are working to spark and develop entrepreneurial spirit in Latvia. And I think the best way to do it is when ecosystem works together. So now here in academia meets with industry, and I hope that in the future we will have more and more such type of events. And so I will take my time to list achievements and initiatives which we do here at Riga Business School and Baltic Finance Centre. So I have a paper, otherwise I'm kind of bit of a worry that I will forget something, because we have done a lot of things. Regarding FinTech education, we created 6 courses, both for bachelor and master's level. And right now, in 8 universities in Latvia, they are taught, and more than 400 students are involved. We opened FinTech specialization in our MBA program. Baltic Finance Centre started FinTech Close-Up series, which brings insights from experienced professionals. Some of you already have participated in those series who are here today. We also started local case writing initiative, and today will be presented new pilot tool, Latvian FinTech Observatory. So stay tuned, and I wish you inspiring breakfast today, and hope we will have some events more in the future, and I will bring floor to Tina.
So, good morning, everyone. We have a very tight schedule today, but I'm happy to welcome all the community. Good morning to the Minister, good morning to the Governor of the Bank of Latvia, good morning to the fellow heads of associations. Without further ado, I will invite Kristīne Dambe from Baltic Finance Centre to present their observatory and the conclusions that they draw from that.
Yes? Okay, great. This is a school, therefore I welcome all of you to come and sit in the front rows. Those of you, because otherwise it looks empty, please, please, please do that. Okay, so we don't have that much time because we have a very exciting panelist today, and I'm very happy about that because it's the first time that FinTech Breakfast is hosting the Minister of Economics, the Governor of the Central Bank, and also heads of 3 associations. So we'll have a very exciting discussion, so we'll focus on that, but a few introductory slides. So Latvia's FinTech Observatory. So the first question is, why did we create it as the Baltic Finance Centre? And as Ines already mentioned, it's part of our education mission and our goal to really inspire the new generation FinTech entrepreneurs and students who go through our courses to better understand what sort of businesses, business models, different firms in the Latvian FinTech ecosystem has developed, and to inspire them. The second thing is that when we designed these courses from the very start, we thought what's actually missing in the ecosystem and where we as a university play an important role is this knowledge accumulation and transfer. So FinTech Observatory is not some sort of yet another monitoring tool that sits somewhere and floats in the vacuum. It's part of the activities that we do. So we already have the monthly FinTech Close-Up series events, so interviews with founders, with C-suite executives, and we've also started the Baltic FinTech Case Study Initiative. So it's important to remember the big picture and the goal. The other reason why we started developing this observatory is because as the center, we published a few policy papers. And a year ago, we actually published a paper on what the Latvian FinTech strategy should look like. And when we started looking for data for that paper, we found quite a few tools. But we also found that Latvia needs to finally take ownership of its story. I mean, the letters are quite small here, you won't be able to see, but basically there are quite a few tools available. There's the Cambridge Centre for Alternative Finance Atlas, there's the European Commission's Digital Finance Platform, and some of them actually only include 6 to 10 companies. Why this is important? Because when you read those Deloitte reports or other reports that actually rank countries, this is the data that they're basing their indices on. So sometimes Latvia is very low in the rankings just because we're not visible, and that's the biggest challenge that we have so far. So what does the observatory look like? I'll just quickly show you the main bits, and then you can just play around with it after this event. So it's a pilot tool. We're seeking feedback. It's just a pilot just to see how it could work the best. So first of all, we have an overview with the scale and contribution to the economy, where you can see the number of fintechs, turnover, taxes paid, and the number of employees, and you can skim through the different companies and also filter by types of segments. The second important bit is the individual firm profile bit. So here especially the students or, I don't know, people interested in fintech who don't actually know what is fintech, what do the different fintechs do, right? Is fintech just lending, or is it fintech banking, or is it payments? They can actually look at the stories of those companies, where did they come from, and what do they actually do? And the third, also the most important thing, is the Latvian fintech map. And the nice thing is that this map gets updated automatically, which means you don't have to wait every year for the annual release of the fintech map. And this is especially important now that the Bank of Latvia has become very active in granting licenses, because I have been updating this presentation for the past week, and I had to make change every single day because a new license was issued. So yeah. The definition, I've been asked many times, how do you define fintech? There isn't a perfect fintech definition. It's a matter of what we agree upon as an ecosystem. What's important is that we have followed the approach of defining fintech very broadly, which means that we include business technology firms. So firms who provide finance solutions, tax invoicing solutions, all those other things, because that's the approach that's also taken in other countries, and we think that we want to showcase the full sector to the extent that we can. Another important thing is that we only include those fintechs who actually operate in Latvia, so they pay taxes in Latvia and they employ people in Latvia. which also explains why there's a difference in the firms that are included, for example, in Deal Room and that are not included in our tool. Okay, so there is lots of potential for development. Please reach out. There is a button on the website where you can send your comments. We're interested in feedback and just testing out how to improve this particular tool. In the future, we would like to expand the range using firm survey data, so to actually include the countries served, clients served, and also investment data. But for that, we need your collaboration. Okay, so insights for Fintech Pulse 2025. So this document contains summary data from this observatory. So I'll go through the first bit and then I'll hand over to Tina, who will finish. So at the moment there are 126, well actually now 127 fintechs in the sector in Latvia that employ more than 3,600 employees and in last year paid 91 million euros in taxes. But what does it look like? Is it a lot or is it not a lot? Well, in a Baltic context, yes, we have fewer fintechs. In terms of employment, the numbers, according to official available data, are slightly lower, but I think we're kind of at the stage where we're ready for growth. And we also have to keep in mind that the population of Latvia, for example, is much smaller than Lithuania. Another point is that if you compare these numbers to the historic growth of the fintech sector in Lithuania, by number of firms and also by number of employees in fintech firms, we're roughly where Lithuania was in years 2018 to 2019. But that doesn't mean that we're 6 years behind. I think that's not the right story. The right story to see from this is that if a country decides to adopt a very specific strategy to attract and grow a very specific segment and use a window of opportunity, then that sector can grow very quickly. I don't know what the numbers for Lithuania would have looked like, for example, if they hadn't actually adopted their strategy to attract payment firms. So most fintechs that currently operate were registered in the last 10 years, so not old, not new, but kind of like slowly maturing segment. And the most popular fintech sectors, which is not a surprise to this audience, is that we have lending, payments, and business tech. Actually, compared to other countries like Lithuania, our balance is relatively even, because in Lithuania, for example, payments account for 30% of companies. And for us, it's more diverse. But what's important that these three segments are there because those companies have been there for the longest. So on the x-axis here, you have the average company age, and on the y-axis, you have the number of companies. So as the different segments or verticals of fintechs mature, of course, they become bigger. The taxes that they pay, which are the sizes of the dots, also grow. So we have these three big segments. We have the investment platform segment that Tina will tell us a bit more about in her presentation. But the question is, from these smaller dots, which will be the one who will actually grow next and grow the fastest and grow the biggest? As yesterday, Reinis hosted his event on MiCA, I decided to include this as well. So I updated the chart with the license data. So these are the countries that have so far granted MiCA licenses. So we're in good company. We're definitely not lagging behind in terms of scale. And another thing I wanted to draw attention to is that if you look at the names of the countries, so Denmark, Netherlands, Finance, Malta, Ireland, Cyprus, one could ask, well, is there anything similar to this list in terms of their AML ranking and AML risk appetite? And there was another indicator that was published this week, which is the Basel AML risk index update. And I've highlighted some of these countries in the list, and you can see that those countries who have decided to go for MiCA licenses and positions themselves as a place where these firms should land, they come from all range of the spectrum. So you can't really equate that this strategy is either for those who have a very high risk appetite or not. But you can discuss that more in the panel. So another important indicator that everyone always is talking about is the tax contribution and taxpayers in Latvia. So our FinTech Observatory also includes data on taxes paid, and this list, this graph on the left side lists the biggest taxpayers in Latvia, and the list on the right side lists the biggest taxpayers in Lithuania. And what is interesting in this list, that in terms of the total amounts of taxes paid by companies, the amounts are quite similar in Latvia and Lithuania, apart from those two big outliers in Lithuania. So in Lithuania, in 2025, the first 9 months of 2025, two companies actually accounted for almost a third of all taxes paid by fintechs in Lithuania. And also, I assume that by the end of the year, they will have paid as much in taxes as in Lithuania as the whole fintech sector in Latvia. So that was 70 million in 9 months of 2025. So this is one of the questions we want to explore in the panel: is how do we use that untapped potential of attracting more companies to Latvia, established companies to Latvia? Because we looked at the origins of the firms that are actually in our observatory, and we found that pretty much all of them are of Latvian origin. And that's a great story, and we should definitely promote those firms, and we should help them grow, help them scale, help them export. But there's this question of how to attract those big players that can also become anchors for the future development of the sector. In terms of employment, so I mentioned 3,600 jobs, which is good. It's a sizable number. It's comparable to other industries. Here are some of the biggest employers, but we have to keep in mind that fintechs are data firms, so they will always be small, relatively small and agile. And the average firm in our sample has 28 employees. I think the data for Lithuania is quite similar. And the last two slides before I hand over to Tina is we also looked at the representation question. So around the half of the sector is regulated, or a bit less than half, by either Bank of Latvia or the Consumer Rights Protection Centre, or both. And the big chunk is not, which means that these are usually the data firms or the software providers, etc. The interesting question to us there from a strategy development perspective is to what extent and how and who can best represent their interests, because of course these two regulators have their own objectives and jobs to do in the economy. So I think there is a real question of how to coordinate the development of the sector. And the association membership has actually grown. We don't have historic data, but at the moment we have three main fintech or finance-related associations, and you will see their leads on this panel. We also have the Startup Association, but still 65% of fintechs are not part of any association. I assume maybe some of you also are not in this audience, are not part of the association, but it's very, very important that actually the industry is slowly consolidating and representing its interests more effectively, because in Latvia that's the only way in which you can actually grow the sector. So thank you, and here are some concluding screenshots that I found yesterday in Delphi LT, while Lithuanians were already saying, oh, we should beware, Latvians are actually coming from us, for us and for our firms, and we can't rest on our laurels. So that's the question we want to discuss in the panel is, you know, the Latvian mentality is just to think, well, we're third, then okay, we'll be third, yes, fine. But that's not how we develop. We actually develop in very healthy competition, and if conditions in the Lithuania have changed, then that is also our window of opportunity. I will hand over to Tina now. Okay.
Thank you, Kristīne. So let's test if it works. Yes, it works. So I will bridge very briefly to the panel, but I would like to start off with a thank you. First to the Baltic Finance Centre for compiling the data, because otherwise we would have to go without numbers and pretend that we understand where we are moving. So that's very important. And another big thank you goes to our members, because you are the reason why we are able to do what we do, to compile the data, to do the magazine, to do the events, because you are operating and because you are members of the association. So really thank you for that. The QR code will lead you to the digital version of the magazine. You don't have to rely on the print version only. And I will have 6.5 points for you today to bridge and lead us into discussion. And the first 3 points are about why we need a coordinated strategy for fintechs. And for reason number 1, let me circle back to the observatory and the data that we pulled from that. And one thing that this graph tells us is pretty simple. Majority of fintechs are with Latvian origin, and I think it is actually something we can be proud of, because we do have our own community and we do have our own companies that also need support. But another insight that we can draw from this graph is that it tells us something that we all actually felt in our gut, and that we are not exactly the world champions when it comes to marketing ourselves. We have a great offer, but no one knows about it. And I'm happy to know that in the fintech strategy, the marketing of the country is one of the pillars that we will be working on. For reason number 2, why we need a coordinated strategy, is because the fintechs are exporting. And again, if we look at the landscape that we can see in the observatory, I can say pretty confidently that way over half of those companies are exporting. Some of them are not having Latvia as a market at all. But what is important is that the brains and the tech is here, and the service is exported from here, and the money is brought back into our economy. And also, by getting international recognition, the individual companies are again putting Latvia on the map, thus fostering our reputation. And one interesting fact, we like to compare ourselves with our neighbors. This time I will compare ourselves with Estonia. And Estonia is well known to be a fintech unicorn, not a fintech unicorn country, but a unicorn factory. But what is a lesser known fact is that out of 10 unicorns that they have, 5 can be related to fintech or regtech. So fingers crossed for all the potential in Latvia as well. For reason 3, fintechs are attracting investments to Latvia. And here we pulled data regarding one of our sub-segments, investment platforms, because they quite literally are attracting investments into also Latvian economy. And most of the investors are from abroad for obvious reasons, but the financial support is channeled back in Latvian fintech ecosystem, SMEs, forestry, and agriculture sectors. And what is noteworthy is that our firms are already servicing 640,000 investors across EU and beyond, and they are holding 24% of Europe's investment platforms market share, and showing 20 to 30% growth annually. So I think that is a trend that we want to follow and see their growth further. And another example that I didn't put on the slide, but also how the investments are attracted in Latvian economy, is an example of Go Cardless, who expanded their presence here after acquiring Nordigen. And this again is the ripple effect that we are looking for when we are building a strategy. And the next 3 points will be about challenges. Those of you who have seen me pitching in international events and selling the country, they know that I always say that we have the best supportive government and politicians for fintechs, But having the high officials in the room, I couldn't miss the opportunity to bring few points. First point. The CEO of one newly established bank recently described the licensing journey like this. Imagine tailoring a custom suit for a person who doesn't even been born yet. And then once the person is born, you immediately start ripping the suit apart and sewing it back together. And imagine this picture if we are speaking about something less traditional than bank and a startup at that. And it's very interesting. Every FinTech conference considers it necessary to put a panel on bringing the balance between regulation and innovation. And we all know what needs to be done in those panels. But I think that we must really find a way of letting those young businesses grow naturally into that suit. And the country and the regulator who will find this magic pill, how to do that right, will be the winning one. And someone has to define the strategy and also set the KPIs for how to measure success. And I hope that that person is in the room today. I'm looking at one concrete person. The next, so yes, in short, maybe sometimes we must think better done than perfect. And I understand that fintechs cannot be built in your parents' garage, but there should be a middle way. And I really hope that we have moved past the phase we had with one of our early fintechs, that we currently consider one of our success stories. And yes, this is a 10 years old history, but isn't it the best way to learn from history? And at that time, when Mintos was incepted, we decided to first to ban their activity, and then afterwards we put them under one of the strongest licensing regimes after the banking license. That's what the businesses are saying. And this is the data for 2025 in Europe. Alternative investment data in Europe shows that still almost half of the investments are managed through unlicensed platforms, and no one can do anything about it, all through the Europe. And again, there must be some middle way. Either we are being the most strict and obedient, but then we have to be able to help the businesses who are following the rules to not be put on uneven field, or we must find a middle way how to help them grow into the license. And the next challenge is called Will You Still Love Me? And what I mean under that, we envy Lithuania for having Revolut, we envy Lithuania for having Robinhood. But what we sometimes forget is that businesses do make mistakes and some risks materialize. And the question is, will we be able to still love them when this happens? Risks do materialize and mistakes do happen. And we must be able to stay rational and to not get blind towards the innovation that the businesses are bringing when the risks materialize. Because that happens not only in fintech, but in banking and in other industries as well. And if we look at the Latvian edition, then of course, in 2025, we expect that it is a default standard to provide service fully remotely and quickly. And that is the same standard, in fact, that has been offered by non-bank lenders since 2012. But the term fast loans is almost a swear word in Latvian. And all discussions about the topic are usually very polarized, still in 2025. And no doubt, unfair and aggressive commercial practices and breach of compliance has to be punished. But the penalties applied should not make us unable to recognize the innovation that those companies are bringing to the table. And we've seen the examples where even the journalists are completely unable to recognize and distinguish between fast loans and banks. And the last but not the least, what I see is that we tend to forget to provide a seat at the table to all financial market participants. There are still several areas where only banks are considered when strategizing or regulating, be it capital market strategy, be it increasing the lending with some improvements there, be it access to information, be it taxation. Our default setting is that we know that banks are in the financial market, but we tend to forget that there is also other players. And as the saying goes, if you are not at the table, then the likelihood is that maybe you are on the plate. And if you come from the fast lending industry, then you can end up on the plate even if you are at the table. But that's all from me for today. Last advertising. I hope we are seeing each other sooner than in Baltic FinTech Days. And now I'm passing the floor back to Kristīne for the panel, and I am taking my seat already on my own.
Yes, thank you very much. So I will invite the esteemed panelists, starting with Mārtiņš Kazāks, the Governor of Bank of Latvia, Viktors Valainis, Minister of Economics, Reinis Notiņš, the Executive Director of the Latvian Blockchain Association, Uldis Cērps, the CEO of Finance Latvia Association, and Tīna Lūsa, the Managing Director of Fintech Latvia Association. Why do you all three have different titles for the same job? It's a bit weird. So, my job is almost done, and Tīna's is as well, but we wanted to put you all to work now. So, if you can take out your phones, and we'll start the panel with audience participation. And we'll ask you two questions. The first one is, where do you think Latvia is at the moment in its fintech ambition? And the second question is, where do you think Latvia wants to be, or you think Latvia should be? And I will first explain the choices that you will be able to choose from, and then you'll have to vote, okay? So here are 5 archetypes or 5 paradigms of national attitudes. So we have, I know you can't read maybe the detail, but basically you have the ostrich, whose goal is to maintain the status quo and pretend like fintechs don't exist, right? So if there's a company that says, oh, I want to do a new thing, you're like, go away. Then you have the reactive accident-driven approach where the goal is really to avoid scandals and regulation is developed only in response to some sort of problems. Then you have the compliance maximalism, a maximalist with the goal of stability, with very heavy compliance-led regulation where the first question about fintech is, what sort of risks does it create? Then you have the growth with guardrails paradigm with an ambition. The question is whether it's a slow growth or a fast growth, but it's quite a selective and controlled attitude towards fintech that emphasizes let's do things gradually, let's be careful. And then you have the innovation trailblazer that has a high ambition, high risk appetite, and that actually wants to be a global hub. It can only do it by very agile and pro-innovation regulation, avoiding gold plating and being sometimes maybe playing on the edge of the rules, I would say. So my colleagues will now show you the QR code. So what you have to do, you can put you have to put a dot, and it can be on a box or it can be in between boxes, wherever you like. So I think you can. And you can see that the panelists can't vote, but you, in the audience questions, you'll be able to ask them, where do you think They think they are. The dots are a bit small. So, okay, so we have one still there in the reactive incidents, mostly here. Interesting. No one's keen on compliance? I mean, I know that FATF hasn't published its report yet, but still. Okay, I think most people have finished voting. Yes? Yeah, okay. So, it's a bit hard for panelists to see it, but basically, we have one ostrich. I don't know who that person is. I'm very curious to know. We have one ostrich. We have quite a lot of dots on compliance maximalist, and many dots, but fewer on the growth with guardrails, and 4 dots on innovation trailblazer. And then still, was it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 dots on reactive accident-driven approach, which is quite interesting because it's a very wide range of use. Maybe it's because each of you come from a different sector and experience the sector differently. Okay, then the next question is about where do you think we should be? So, Linda? Okay, so you have to put your dot again, but in terms of like what do you think Latvia's ambition should be? I assume it's either 2 of these, hopefully not these. Is it not working or? Okay. Maybe whilst people vote, we can already start the panel, actually, right? So, and maybe actually what we could do is that you can vote throughout this, and if they change your mind, you can change it. Okay, so my first question will be to the Minister of Economics, Mr. Valainis, on what are your thoughts on this, and where do you see, what's your ambition for Latvia's fintech, especially from a Ministry of Economics perspective?
First of all, it's a great honor to be here in such a great panel and with such a great audience, which is a very active audience. This for a long time, first time when I see that when somebody asking to have a look on these QR codes, everybody is bringing up their phones and joining to that. So it's very good. I think our ambitions when it comes to fintech, yesterday was a very good day for that when we showed our ambitions. We are ready to take over what do Lithuanians have. We are ready to offer a really good environment for the fintech companies. And from the policy makers, we are ready to be very supportive. We already reached some goals, which is quite clear. We want to increase the companies who works in the fintech industry by 2027. We want to come from 126 companies to 160 companies into this field. Of course, I hope that one of those companies maybe will be one of the top 2 in Lithuania. Who knows? Maybe they will come to Latvia sooner than everybody thought. New jobs, the target is to succeed 4,500 people who works in this field. So every decision what we have to make, and when it comes to the fintech industry, it has to answer: do we reach that goal or do we not reach that goal? So we will be very supportive. And from my own experience, I can see that the fintech industry really is something what we can be proud of. What already, I recently, when was one of our last visits to Hamburg, which was actually the biggest business delegation visit to Germany in Latvian history, a lot of fintech companies was here with us in this visit. And in Hamburg, when there was a B2B meeting with the with German fintech companies. There was this one very good feeling that all the Germans thought that Mintos is German's company, and everybody was surprised, and they sit on our side, and this actually is Latvian company. So this is something which shows that some of our companies are quite visible international level already, and we have to do everything to improve that and to build up this system and show for the whole world that we are ready, and we are ready to build up this industry and to put it in a strategic place for our development. Because I definitely can see the part for the fintech companies to help to develop our Latvian economy ecosystem, and what's most important when you build any fintech in Latvia, it's very quickly becomes an international product that you can export to other countries and do this business internationally. And there are so many examples, and I have really great privilege to work with those companies and see those examples which are growing in our eye. When we are seeing how they are growing, like this is quite incredible, really great stories over there. So I am ready to be open for the industry and keep supporting the industry, because I really see the potential. Lithuanians show this potential. Of course, they took some big fishes they took in their regulatory, in their ecosystem, but we can do the same, and I can see that we have all opportunities and all the basic homeworks done today to succeed this as well.
Thank you. So maybe the new advertising campaign for Latvian fintech will be "Fintech, the Latvia's best kept secret." So turning to Mr. Kazak, so over the past 2 years, you've been very vocal about this risk for growth agenda, that everyone should become bolder, take more risks in lending in other segments. You saw or heard that the views on where we actually are as a country overall, it's not about regulation, but the overall attitude towards taking risks is kind of actually all over the place. So where do you see the Bank of Latvia's ambition and growth appetite, and where would you put it in that spectrum?
Thanks for having me. I didn't see, because it's impossible to see the screens from where we sit, but before I kick off, how many of you do not speak Latvian? Okay, so then English. But it's a massive minority of you, so do learn Latvian. But I think it very clearly shows the potential that we still can have. So it's not only to be built by Latvians only, but it is really an international segment. So there is certainly much work to be done to enlarge the community. And of course, I very much agree that none of your businesses are Latvia-centered. You might start off here, but it's all about the global stuff. It's about scaling up. So it's nice to see you rooting in here, but of course the objection to the current situation, objective to where should we go further, is just global. Okay. As for, let me comment a bit, coming back to what Tina said at the beginning. Will you still love me? Okay, come on, guys. Love in financial markets is never unconditional. Okay, so of course, there are different measures of love. But in financial markets, it is never unconditional, never ever, okay? Because the cost is just too high. But coming back to the ambition, I think, Kristīne, you were very, very clear. The Bank of Latvia sees that we can do better, okay? And by we is not meant the Bank of Latvia as a regulator licensing the businesses or supervising or overseeing the businesses, but as a country as such, because you can stretch out and do whatever you want. You can jump around and dance and sing, but it is not possible to be achieved only by one institution alone. And that's why I think What we very clearly lack, and where I do not see sufficient progress, is the FinTech strategy. We set up the working group at the end of the last year. We, together with the FinTech Association and Ministry of Finance, we drafted the FinTech strategy, and it's still wandering around in the corridors of the institutions. Okay? I do hope that by the end of the year, or very early next year, it's going to be passed. And then we can all work together, because this is really a teamwork. On the part of the regulator, we see that we can manage risks much better than in the past. We also have catered and built up a very strong capacity in terms of pre-licensing services to the companies aiming to license their activities here. So, and you can see that in terms of the number of companies that we have licensed through this year, and over the last few weeks, it has also been to crypto related companies, and we do expect more to be licensed, because some of them are just very close to licensing in the financial markets as such. Okay? Also in terms of pre-licensing processes and all these kind of things. But we can never do it alone. Okay? It needs to be aligned across the institutions, starting with the investment and development agency, Ministry of Judiciary, Economics Ministry, Ministry of Finance. It's a teamwork. And we can very clearly see that in the case of Lithuania, because they managed to build up the segment, because they all work together, also including the municipality. Okay, and also including the university arm of the equation. So, yes, our ambition is strong. Okay, we want to be able as a country to build up this sector, and we see that there is still lots of potential that we could do, but it requires a teamwork. But love will never be unconditional. Thank you.
Well, there is progress. Thank you for saying things about strategy, so I don't have to say it, but there is progress, because the first strategy was officially signed after half of the strategies period had already passed, and now it's only a third, so it's an improvement.
And most likely it's not going to be strategy 25, 28, but 26, 28, or whatever it is.
So we'll return to the strategy writing process at the end of the panel. So I'll now turn to Reinis, because a year ago in the panel that we hosted, you said that Latvia should basically adopt a very high ambition strategy and use windows of opportunity, and that, I'm quoting, we still have an opportunity to get in quickly and take our niche. If there is a new regulation or a sector, we want to be the first ones to understand the sector instead of waiting until everyone else tries it out, and only then start doing something. Make decisions quickly, learn quickly, and use the opportunities. So a year on, where we at in our ambition?
Well, in my mind, we absolutely need to be the innovation trailblazers, right? We don't have a huge market like in Germany or France, but we can be fast, we can be the first ones, we can be the most agile ones. And where we are, answering to your question, well, we were the first ones to adopt MiCA regulation. We were the first ones to set the lowest supervision fees in the Central Bank of Latvia in Europe. We are the first ones to allow to pay share capital of the company with crypto, thanks to Ministry of Economics and Parliament of Latvia as well. And now we have just licensed first 2 MiCA companies, so that means crypto asset service providers, which will set up in Latvia. One of them we were able to pull from Hungary. So they are now a Latvian company, not a Hungarian company. They'll pay the taxes in Latvia. They'll grow their team in Latvia. That's a huge improvement. And the other one was actually, I saw Sofian somewhere here. Yeah, you're right there. Good to have you in our audience. So actually a company with Latvian roots, but Polish CEO. And this company for a long time was licensed in Lithuania. Why? because we are not too open-minded towards innovations, because we are not issuing crypto asset service provider licenses. But now, with a common work between the Ministry of Economics, the association, also the central bank and other involved, we are super competitive. And now we can bring those companies back or bring companies in from different countries. So this is a huge opportunity. And finally, we have this milestone, 2 first licenses. If I refer to your data previously on the screen, it was said that Estonia has 5 MiCA licenses, but I think there's a slight misinterpretation because they have 0.
This is ESMA data, so we should write.
Yeah, I think they probably took the local previous licenses, which are crypto asset service licenses before the introduction of MiCA regulation. And also there was mentioned that Denmark has 30, they don't have 30. So currently we are in top position, and I actually asked today to AI what they think, who are the leading companies in crypto space, leading countries in crypto space these days. They have Germany with the BaFin regulator issuing licenses, they have Netherlands, and then they are showing that Latvia is standing out as a newcomer, taking their stance, issuing first licenses, and showing their ambition to become a center for crypto asset service providers, to be a Web3 hub in the European Union.
Okay, thank you. We should write to ESMA and ask them why they include this data then. Or
just ask us.
Or just ask you as well, yeah. So I'll now turn to Uldis Cērps, who is the head of the Finance Latvia Association that mainly represents the big banks, and also they have one fintech platform, so Mintas. In your comments on the strategy development process, you and your association made 2 points. The first one was that Latvia has to be very clear about how it actually wants to position itself internationally, not in terms of marketing, but where does it actually want to aim at. And the second thing was that you thought that the strategy should actually be defined much more broadly in terms of financial services sector, technical, digital transformation and growth, which would mean that you also include all market participants. What do you think we're losing out on by not adopting that approach?
Well, thank you, Kristīne, for a good question. I also want to start by thanking Tina for being invited to this fantastic panel. On the fintech strategy, actually, last week, I was congratulating Minister of Finance and Minister of Economy on having the fintech strategy, and then the governor kindly reminded me that this strategy actually is not yet adopted. I was under the impression that it does exist, and it's actually a very good document, and it has been a document that has been produced in a way which Tina Lusa advocated, with all people sitting around the table and actually bringing forward their views. And we had, I would say, 2 points on the strategy which still remain valid. The first point is that we need clear indicators in terms of our international positioning, where we want to be. It's not an aim in itself, but it helps as a reality checker. And at the same time, our ambitions probably need to be higher than just catching up with Lithuania. Because if we look at how decision makers in Denmark or Netherlands or any other large European jurisdiction think, their prime idea is not to be better than Lithuania. I would say their prime idea is to create the best and most facilitating environment for financial services in their country. That should be the objective. Now, coming to the second point, which is also related to the first point, the current fintech strategy is mainly about developing companies, I would say, more startup companies with innovative business models. But in fact, fintech has another meaning, which is widely recognized in all major strategies of all major jurisdictions, which is financial technology implemented irrespective of whether the firm is a large player, incumbent, or a newcomer. And if we look at banks, and I just want to correct Kristīne humbly that we don't only represent big banks, we also represent small and innovative banks, and some of them are present here. The banking system, you can reverse engineer how much it invests in new technologies, but we are talking about tens of millions of euros a year only in Latvia. And that means that there is no need to put an artificial boundary between fintechs and existing banks. In fact, as a country, we can achieve much more if we both sit at the table and help the government design the rules and regulations. And then here comes the paradox. I think, if you refer back to what Tina said initially, you remember all these nice animals sitting around the table. I was just thinking which one of them is me. Well, thank you. I think there is a kind of a quantum physics paradox here, that in fact, it's not the fact that you are either at the table or on the plate. I think as a financial industry, we can say that we can be both at the table and on the plate. And that is exactly what is happening. If we take such areas, for instance, as taxation, I'm afraid that we are on the plate, you are not yet on the plate. So that comes back to my main point, that it's when designing a strategy, it's important to take a holistic perspective and to look beyond Lithuania and Estonia and take into account all the things that the ecosystem needs. Not only regulation, but also supervision, also the overall approach, and also last but not least, taxation. And to end on the positive note, I want to give you one example, one bad and one good example. The bad example, of course, everybody knows, the solidarity tax, which takes out 110 million euros out of the banking system, in addition to all other things that banks pay. But one good example where government has been agile, and this is looking at Mr. Valainen specifically, where government has been agile and supported financial sector by doing a tiny change in a tiny, obscure part of tax legislation, which very few people of you know. I can test you. How many of you know the tax concept thin capitalization? Please raise hands.
We know.
Okay, great. I would say a quarter of audience knows. But the thin capitalization rules have been changed so that it's easier basically for firms engaged in lending and securitization to operate. And that is a very good achievement, that it shows that the government can listen to rational arguments. But we need to have more such examples, and we need to aim higher. Thank you.
Thank you. And now to Tina. So what are your reflections, and where would you put us on this scale, given the presentation that you also delivered?
I don't remember, I don't see the categories that are there, but I think that we are somewhere in the middle. We kind of, in the marketing, we want to be the trailblazers, but I think that in terms of licensing, we are still learning. We have, actually, to reflect a little bit on what Martin said earlier, that it is a teamwork. I agree, definitely. If we look at the strategy, it is a teamwork. And I saw the process, and I saw how the different authorities had different views, and then the document got a little bit blocked. But what is important is that I think that all the processes that get somewhere, they get somewhere because of some of the leaders that take initiative. And that's why I was looking at the governor of the Bank of Latvia with my slide. And that's why, and I think that it's enough if we have few people who are supportive. Like currently we have Minister of Economics, we have very active governor of Bank of Latvia. We see that initiative there. And I think if we have few supporters or few sponsors for the industry who push that forward, then we can get somewhere. But yes, to finish my thought, still from the market participants, I do hear this, let's call it a problem with this little girl in this unfitting suit. That is something that we have to think about and continue to think about. And this probably is the role of the regulator, also clearly saying which risk levels are acceptable for us, which are not, and also looking at how we are looking at the licensing package, because I still, like, very down to the earth from the market, I do receive the signals that we want the documents be perfect to the last dot. And maybe that is something where we can still think about some around ways.
Maybe you want to respond to that? Or?
Give me an hour. Okay.
I can give you 2 sentences.
Then I can't answer because there are at least 3 topics that I want to cover. The first one is in terms of the ambition of the FinTech strategy. In my view, the ambition there is way too low. What does it mean? If I remember correctly, 15% increase in employment of those who work for FinTechs. That's nonsense, in my view. Okay, for the sector being small, at 15%, you only need 1 successful business, and you've done everything, and you go back home, and you reach the target. So I very much agree with what Aldis was saying. That we are not after specific, numbers, by how much we grow, but we are after the environment that fosters everything. So, I would be much more ambitious than that. Point 2, in terms of licensing process and that kind of stuff, I think you can very clearly see why the companies do come here is because the pre-licensing process works, because, for instance, this same Buffin, compare, well, I shouldn't be calling names, okay, excuse me. Compare German industry and Latvian industry. Compare the depth of the financial industry. And of course, there are many more companies around in Germany. And if you would compare the numbers of companies being licensed, the gap is, we are in a way ahead in terms of financing, of licensing the companies. And the issue is because we are much more approachable, because we are easier to get in contact with, and by and large, if you would ring up a regulator, you would get an appointment most likely next week at the latest. Okay, there are countries which would take month and month and month. Okay, so of course we are open, but as I said, love is never unconditional. Why? Because it's not only the regulator that is playing the game. Okay, and it's all the ecosystem, it's all the infrastructure. So the regulator will never be able to say what exactly is the risk appetite, because it is not for a regulator to say, because the regulator can only license those whom he or she is aware of approximately being able to manage those risks. You cannot take on risks that you cannot manage. The strong and good thing is that we are better at managing risks. We've grown this capacity and understanding over the last couple of years, and we are more active in that. But of course, the overall ability to manage the risks depends upon a much broader set of institutions. Okay? So it's not only us. If, for instance, I would never be talking to Minister of Alliance, then we would be very isolated. The good thing is that we cooperate, and it increases the resilience and ability to manage the risks. But we need to strengthen this beyond the central bank and the Ministry of Economics. There's also other institutions that will be involved if risks materialize. So I think we've made a very good progress, and I hope we will keep speeding ahead. Okay? But it's the whole set of the ecosystem set up, and I think there is a massive improvement over the last couple of years, and we will work to improve it. But it's a teamwork. Okay? And then, if I may come back again to one of the issues, again, I think that was a fantastic comparison. This "Will you still love me?" There is. You can build around that story lots of things, and you can only marry the person whom you've ever met. Okay, if you don't meet the person, you will never marry that person. Okay, same thing for the regulator. You can only license those guys who file in the application. Okay, if the person never turns up, then it's only a dream. Okay, and of course we can daydream forever, but you can materialize the outcome only you know, if there has been, you know, an application filed in. Okay? So that's my encouragement to the fintech industry. Call up, ask for help. We will help you to prepare the proposal. It's never going to be perfect. Okay? It's going to be good enough. And if we can manage those risks, we will license you. Okay? But the licensing is always going to be a two-way discussion. It's not, okay, let's think about something. You come to us, we discuss it. If you understand we can manage those risks, we are happy to license you.
I think it's a good point where to turn to the industry. So with this marriage analogy, so usually in relationship there's this honeymoon period where both sides try to pretend that they're better than they actually are, and then the reality hits, and then they either slowly adapt to each other or go their separate ways. So,
can I say about this one just one thing?
Just one sentence.
Yeah,
Just one
sentence. Of course, we know that life is what it is. Nobody is faultless. And our aim is not to punish anyone, okay? But if the rules get broken intentionally, regularly, you know, then there's only one solution. Okay, you revoke the license. But it's by no means the first move. Okay, that is kind of a capital punishment. That's the divorce. Okay, but you try to work the problems out.
We should now give them some the floor. So, what are your very quick reactions on this in terms of whether you think this collaboration or teamwork is not the right word, but is relationship between the different authorities, ministries, is it improving overall? Because that's what matters, right? It's not this a snapshot and point in time. It's the fact that if we encounter issues, we solve them and develop. So, what are your thoughts on that? Let's start with Reinis.
If I can refer to Governor's comment on where that companies and the central bank needs to meet before, right? Before they have this marriage. The question is, where do you meet? Where did Lithuania met, or Lithuanian central bank met with Robin Hood? Where did they met with the Revolut? The question is, are we going for that meeting ourselves? Are we approaching them? Are we hunting them? Are we playing this game of seducing them, if you will?
Yeah.
So we try to play this game as well with the help of Ministry of Economics and help of Latvian Investment and Development Agency. We go around the world, try to approach these companies and bring them to Latvia. We love to see that, the same attitude from the central bank as well. There is a lot of improvement, but still, I believe, if I may a little criticism, then I would see that possibly there could be like sort of a sales department also in the central bank that go and meets these targeted companies that we want to attract. There's a lot of companies like currently in Poland, we just discussed yesterday, Polish government was the last government to accept MiCA regulation when it was basically the companies are running out of business already. And the Polish president did what? He just blocked the regulation. So Poland has like hundreds, around 350 last I heard, crypto asset service providers licensed with a previous license, which is running out now. And they don't have an ability to go for a license, MiCA license in Poland. But they have this ability to get this license in Latvia. Okay. So where do we meet them? Are we going to meet them? We will. I hope the central bank will join us. And hope all together we will bring them to Latvia, and those Polish companies will become Latvian companies.
Before Martin answers, I would like to second Reinis on this, because I understand our division is that Leah is doing the marketing job and the bank is licensing. But what I really see in financial industry, in the exhibitions and conferences, that it really does work when the central bank shows up, because the businesses do want to see who they will actually work with, and they really appreciate it. And I don't know if we have someone from Lithuania in the audience today, but Lithuania, even after tightening the rules, the central bankers are at every conference still saying that they are licensing everyone. And that works, and that really works for the reputation in the long term.
I think
I think Aldis has his,
Okay.
he has earned with patience his quick remarks.
No, just a very short remark. I think the FinTech development strategy, of course, reveals a difficult point in combining different functions within Bank of Latvia. You want to support the ecosystem, but how long will you want to support them, or how much? And from that perspective, I would say that you need to have also clear red lines, what you can not do. Because if you look back at what fintechs have done in the European regulatory system, just let me give you two examples. There has been one highly innovative bank in Sweden, which I used to regulate, and which I was part of team closing down, which operated the bank with a negative equity and did hide it from the regulator. That's one clear example of red line. The other example of a red line is where the person in charge of the anti-money laundering compliance is burdened by too many red flags popping out of the system and just switches off the filter for 1 month, not to bother himself too much. And those two things happened. So what the question is, okay, you know, would you still love me? I think the best answer to that question is transparency. So I think every regulator needs to be transparent about its sanctioning policy, showing, you know, where exactly those red lines are, and give examples. Which things would result into just reprimand, which things would result into angry eyebrows of the governor, and which things may result into more severe consequences. Thank you.
So Martin, Kazaks, and then
I think
Minister.
your answer is exactly in the FinTech strategy, Reinis. And that is really a shame that it has taken nearly a year for this to travel to the document being passed, because the FinTech strategy very clearly sets out the responsibilities of the involved institutions. The supervisor will never be able to be the salesman, because the supervisor, what can you sell? You can sell only approachability to you. You cannot say, I'm going to be more favorable to you.
No, of course.
Just come over. So that is what the government's part of the equation must do. And in our case, in the Latvian case, that's the Investment and Development Agency. So the Investment and Development Agency needs a team that is dedicated to, and it's not only fintech, it's the financial sector development. And of course, the central bank will always, not the central bank as such, but the regulator, one of the arms of the central bank, will always be part of those missions. And we are part of those missions if there is somebody, who sets up this team. Okay? But we can never be the ones to go out and say, come over to us. We're going to treat you favorably, because we cannot treat anyone favorably. We have to treat everybody the same. Okay? So we need really this teamwork. And I think if we come back to this to Lithuanian case, we very clearly see, at least in my view, that their success was not in one institution doing the job perfectly and others failing. I think their success was that all the institutions joined in, including the municipality of the capital, creating the segment, creating the environment, pulling them in, and then the success rate is likely to be higher. In fact, to some extent, Lithuanian, and that's why I agree very much with but then this can be also my last comment. I know it's kind of been quite extensive. What Aldis mentioned, if you take a look back at Lithuanians about 10 years ago, they never intended to set up payments segment. Their idea was, through contestable markets theory, to shake the bank lending market. Okay? High rates, low lending, high risk aversion, so economy lacking credit growth. And they thought, okay, let's have fintechs lending to shake the market. It never worked. Okay? But the payments system grew, which was a success. So you don't really know what's going to be the outcome. So you need to be catering for many various businesses in the financial segment. And I think that would be a much better strategy than just, and the success rate is more likely to be higher than just kind of selecting one business line and trying to see, how can we be successful there. So it's the teamwork. Thank you.
Okay. So before we jump to, I have a follow-up question, which is about this role of LIA. So, and I have one tough question for you, so sorry about that. But I went to the Invest in Lithuania website, Invest in Latvia website, and Invest in Estonia website. So 3 countries' general websites. So Invest in Lithuania has a section on the website dedicated to fintech specifically, and they also have people, as Martin said, a team, a concierge service, also for bigger teams that try to navigate the organizations. Invest Estonia also has such a dedicated portal, even though Estonia doesn't even have a fintech strategy. And then I went to Invest in Latvia website, and it currently promotes Latvia as the headquarter of sustainable innovations in circular economy and climate challenges. And currently, fintech isn't yet, I'm giving away out there, isn't yet part of the key sectors that LIA particularly focuses on and sees potential in, unless you see it as part of information and communication technologies. Do you kind of envisage that potentially fintech could, over time, carve out a specific team or priority in LIA, or what's your ambition for that?
We have quite big ambitions when we talk about LIA. LIA is just over reorganization, and we set some quite clear goals for LIA to bring to Latvia 1 billion in investments. On the 1st December, we have reached 900 millions already, and nobody will go on holidays in LIA while it won't be 1 billion. So this is what we are waiting for them. And so, of course, when we are talking about the Web3 industry, we started this as a strategic goal as well. And this year, we focused on crypto because 2 years ago, a bit more than 2 years ago, we started with Reinis, specifically worked about the MiCA licensing. And this was something what we focused on, and we understood we will make the best place for this licensing here in Latvia. We will be the champions in Europe, and this was our goal. And of course, our sales teams are working on that, and we know that there is already some of the companies looking for Latvia, which if even a single company would come here and took the license, they could triple all our industry's volume with only one company. So there is a lot of job done, but when we cover fintech, fintech is our next year's challenge. We already made some calculations. We see that if we will do the same job what we did with the crypto, with the fintech, we will raise direct income for taxes for 5 million. Only if we will do the same job what we did for the crypto to the fintech industry. So next year for the fintech industry, and these first tests what we had this year in Germany, there was, in our view, there was quite successful. We see the very big potential over there if we will keep going that way. And a lot of conferences, a lot of all our experts, special like we did about the crypto, we made special learning sessions for all the experts who works around more than 20 countries globally who works. They have special introductions about the product, what we are selling, and this will do the same with the fintech industry. I liked what you said, that it's a best kept secret, and this is what it is actually. We have, and I think, of course, we can focus on some strategies. We know a lot of very successful countries who doesn't have any strategies, like they're just doing the job. And over here, I am in the same position. I have worked with those strategies, so many different kind of strategies. But if after applying them, there is no real job after that, then there is no need for those strategies. So it's mainly, are we ready to do? Are we ready to get our hands a bit dirty as well, and to succeed some real results? They won't come just because we are saying that we are good. Everybody has to, I totally agree with the central bank, with the Mr. Kazaks, about that we have to work together to succeed those results, and we have to be open for these goals. Everybody has to go with the team. We don't have to fight with each other about that. And then there will come real results. FinTech in next year, definitely you will see it in strategic for the Latvian Investment Development Agency. Like I said, we can see that there is huge potential. This year already showed very good results for the crypto, and we are ready to move on and make this wider spectrum of the companies who are we implementing into our system. So there is really great potential, and we will use that potential. And this is where we are moving.
So look out for vacancy pages in LIA maybe next time for the FinTech.
Of course, these pages are, I have some my own opinion about those pages. How do they look, and what we could. So there is a lot of job that needs to be done in the public sector, because we have, I think, for so many years we haven't focused on those topics. For example, like in LIA, when we started to work, there was. It's Latvian Investment Development Agency. The investment is in the name, like of this institution, but people who work with for the public relations, there was almost 40 people who worked for the public relations. The people who worked for investments was 6. So can you imagine? So we get through really big organization, and now there is 4 or 5 PR specialists and close to 50 investment specialists. And I can see the increase in the result today by attracting investments and working with a different kind of institutions. We can see result. Of course, I'm still waiting for this 1 billion. We won't be good with the 900, but there is something what we have to do in December.
Okay, I will sacrifice my last question because we have 8 minutes left, and I think there must be some more questions in the audience as well, right? So we have time for 1 to 2 questions. They're at the back. I think the only Lithuanian guest. Yeah.
Yes, I am probably the only Lithuanian here, and I felt I needed to say a few words since you mentioned my country's name quite a few times. I do come from fintech industry, from more specifically from crypto industry, and to me it's music to my ears when I hear all the panelists sending this message out. It's a very important thing, and I would say in the last year or probably 2, yes, Lithuania does have over 200, close to 300 virtual asset service providers, but so far we haven't had that much success in crypto licensing. Actually, to relate to your analogy of family relationships, we had quite a few divorce cases where we've had 5 of the biggest crypto exchanges in the world, and most of them moved out from the country. And so to say, I'm here as well also to congratulate on the progress and towards the strategy, really good thing. But maybe a reflection from the industry, from the participants looking at our Braluka neighbors, is that we are, it's a chicken and egg dilemma. You want to see certain success cases to be able to say that, yes, Latvia is that interesting jurisdiction or a country that you would like to be present and to build for the long run. So I wish you all the best to do that. Also, I think Mr. Reynes mentioned the sales and being out of your borders. Yes, that would help a lot. I don't know if that's something that you can do as a Bank of Latvia, come over to other countries, but that would be pretty much, very much appreciated. So the industry learns and sees this openness and willingness to talk openly. Which, sadly to say, we are lacking in Lithuania currently. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Maybe another question or comment?
Can I
but very
respond
quick
to
one.
this
Very, very quickly.
Of course,
just because we're running out of time.
We will go along with that, but we need a team lead. And the team lead and I'm happy to hear, and I see there is lots of more ambition and improvement from Leah's perspective. So, of course, we will join in. It's a no-brainer, because we want you to succeed. Okay? Because if you succeed, we benefit, and it's a no-brainer.
I just realized that the highest risk strategy for a Latvian is actually to finally start talking to each other and actually take credit of its work and praise themselves. That's our biggest hurdle mentally. So any other comment or question? Yeah, from there, Viesturs.
Hello, yeah, my name is Viesturs Kulikovskis, chair of RBS Advisory. My actually comment regarding why supervisor cannot go out as a salesperson, I would use a comparison to the corporate banking loan officer. You know that the loan is something that you have to sell actively nowadays, but bearing in mind that you will have to get it back in the same form, in agreed terms, etc. So basically I would say that I don't see any problem for central bank to be active salesperson, but defining and actually using their expertise that you defined, that yes, we are approaching, and here are the terms, and you will have to follow them, and you will have to work with them. And yeah, I would say that's pretty doable, and comparisons are 100 years.
Okay, we have to just read the regulation, okay? I'm happy, but unfortunately, as well at the same time, the case is that the best salesperson in Latvia is the person who is licensing the companies, okay, in that area. Okay, my colleague, most likely, you know, most of you know Marina, okay? But the issue is that the fintechs don't only come over for the licensing box. It is much more than that. There's the whole environment, okay, and that kind of stuff. So, of course, we will be, and we have been, and you know, we are telling what are we providing, you know, what's the service level, how quickly, you know, all these kind of things. But for instance, we will never be the ones who would say, you know, let me give you an example. You know, for this fintech strategy, there were 57 objections from various ministries. 57, bloody hell, you know, and all of them, what we should not do, not how can we do this better, okay? So the bureaucratical mindset is just amazing. Okay? And one of those things is, you know, how can you make, for Lithuanian to come into Latvia, it's most likely that easy. Okay? You just cross, you know, the border. But if you want to build up a truly global and international segment, you would also need migration services. Okay? Are we, you know, from the central bank, able to tell what migration services should do? Not really. That's the government's part, and that's why the anchor should be there, because they can task other institutions. We can only ask, okay? And then they say, maybe tomorrow. So I'm not complaining. I think the progress is fantastic, and we see that you know, the industry is gearing up. But what I'm saying is that we can do so much better.
Okay, so on this, just because we're running out of time, we literally have 1 minute, and you will all have a chance very quickly. And my last question will be the following. So, with focus on improvement, the next fintech strategy number 3, how quickly in months it should be written, agreed upon, in your ideal world, and published? And it could be a much, much shorter document or whatever. So I'll give you each literally 1 sentence. So let's start with Mr. Kazaks. In your ideal case.
The one is already written.
No, the next one. The next one.
No, let's deal with this one.
Okay, Mr. Valens?
I totally agree. I think January could be the month, but in general there was a lot of discussion about the law. But what I understood that there actually is no law. There is just partnerships, and when we talk with the businesses, there is not much businesses which are bringing the law at the first time. At the first, they are mainly thinking about the regulations, about the benefits, and I think today we in Latvia can really deliver very good proposals for the industry, for their national and global successes, and we have to keep going that way, and we have to take out this hidden secret from the box and share it for the global world.
Okay, thank you. Reinis?
I'll maybe add to the thought of the minister. The Prime Minister previously said, strategy, some people have said that strategy without execution is a hallucination. So it's all about execution. We should start execute now. We know some tasks that we need to do, including, as Tina said, marketing and so on, right? So we need to start doing those tasks now, and then we can think about next strategy. So let's move forward, let's execute, not hallucinate, and then we'll get to the next one and make it even better.
Let's leave hallucination to ChatGPT. Okay, Uldis?
I must say that I agree with what Reinis and Martin said. The strategy is, I would say, commonly agreed. Then it needs to be formalized. I think we have obsession with writing documents. That's not the point. The point is actually doing things, implementing it in reality, working together, and being aware that really existing financial sector, the newcomers, they all need to work together as one ecosystem with support of the government and with a very high level of ambitions, consistency, and awareness that we really are competing with other jurisdictions. There is we have no natural right to have companies. We have to prove that companies should benefit by coming to Latvia or developing in Latvia and having awareness that rules will not suddenly change just because we have election or something. So that's my point. Execution is really the key. And I'm aware that actually when it comes to the existing fintech strategy, even if it's not yet finalized, we actually are working already on doing things.
Yes, I can completely second that actually I have good news that the strategy is not formally confirmed, but we actually already are implementing it. So no reason to complain.
Great. Thank you very much for participating and for the honest debate. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
So we will have a picture. Don't leave your seats because we will include you in the picture as well. And we need to switch off here.
Burman, never manis izpostīt, nevar manis izpostīt. postī. Ļaudis dara vara tiltu, es ozola darīnā, ļaudis dar. Vara tiltu, es ozola darīnā. Ļaudī vara sarūsē, ozola, kas salapoja, ļaudī var. Sarūsē, ozola, kas salapoja. Burman, 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 nevar manis izpostīt. Burman, 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 nevar manis izpostīt. Nevar, 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 nevar manis izpostīt. Nevar, 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 nevar manis izpostīt. Ļaudis dara vara tiltu, es ozola darīnā, ļaudis dar. Vara tiltu, es ozola darīnā. Ļaudī vara sarūsē, ozoli, kas salapoja, ļaudī var. Sarūsē, ozoli, kas salapoja. Laimi savu nezināju, līdz satiku nelaimīt. Burman, 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 nevar manis izpostīt. Burman, 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 nevar manis izpostīt. Nevar, 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 nevar. Burman, 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 nevar manis izpostīt. Burman, 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 nevar manis izpostīt. Nevar, 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 nevar manis izpostīt.
Surprise! Oh, labrīt, labrīt, good morning! Jā, mēs esam tāds maziņš pārsteigums un tāda laimes momentiņš priekš jums šajā decembrī, lai ievadītu nelielu tādu Ziemassvētku sajūtu, ja gadījumā tas lietus šķiet nepārāk Ziemassvētcīgs. Tad mēs jums nodziedāsim pāris Ziemassvētku dziesmas šodien. So, a few Christmas songs from us today.
Čigāns saka čigānam induido, duido, gaļas grib, duido, duido, gaļas gribu, duido. Vai tu aklis neredzēji, duido, duido, balta ķēvelinaitā, duido, duido, balta ķēvelinaitā, duido. māmiņa maigo miedziņu klaudzēs pūriņš pasilu vēdot, dim pūriņš pasilu vēdot, to dara māšai lielie launagi. Guli meitiņa maigo miedziņu klaudzēs pūriņš pasilu vēdot, dim pūriņš pasilu vēdot, to dara māšai lielie launagi. Ārada pārtu perējā, pārnesa pūriņu pādusēji, lai manu dižu miegu nevarēja izgulēt, visu dienu gulēju nevarēja izgulēt. Kas tur brīdina gārsta vīnu, ķekatas dancina savus kumelīnus, ķekatas dancina savus kumelīnus, līdz veklēties apkaltas kājas. Kas tur brīdina gārsta vīnu, ķekatas dancina savus kumelīnus, ķekatas dancina savus kumelīnus, līdz veklēties apkaltas kājas. Aina mamā viņa dārtu ratīņas, aina mamā viņa dārtu ratīņas, kaļādā, 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 kaļādā. Ķekatas atrāca ar vazumiņu, ķekatas atrāca ar vazumiņu, kaļādā, 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 kaļādā. Arrotas armienes ar kumelīnis, arrotas armienes ar kumelīnis, kaļādā, kaļādā, kaļādā. Siela varotā Pānama jumtu, silmietu godiņu raudzīdāmā, vai jaunas sieviņas līnautosī, vai jaunas meitiņas varavaņakosī. Siela varotā Pānama jumtu, silmietu godiņu raudzīdāmā, vai jaunas sieviņas līnautosī, vai jaunas meitiņas varavaņakosī. Aina mamā viņa tavu joku mīņu, glāž tas nāmiņš, glāži sabiņas, sudrabas potiņu, istabas laukā, notīra dimanta šūpuli kārā. Aina mamā viņa dārtu ratīņas, aina mamā viņa dārtu ratīņas, kaļādā, 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 kaļādā. Ķekatas atrāca ar vazumiņu, ķekatas atrāca ar vazumiņu, kaļādā, 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 kaļādā. Arrotas armienes ar kumelīnis, arrotas armienes ar kumelīnis, kaļādā, kaļādā, kaļādā. Kaļādā, 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 kaļādā. Aina mamā viņa dārtu ratīņas, aina mamā viņa dārtu ratīņas, kaļādā, 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 kaļādā. Ķekatas atrāca ar vazumiņu, ķekatas atrāca ar vazumiņu, kaļādā, 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 kaļādā. Arrotas armienes ar kumelīnis, arrotas armienes ar kumelīnis, kaļādā, 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 kaļādā. Arrotas armienes ar kumelīnis, arrotas armienes ar kumelīnis, kaļādā, 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 kaļādā.
Priecīgs Ziemassvētkus visiem un turpinām būt laimi.
Paldies, paldies, paldies tautmeitām. Nemūciet prom, but we speak in English, we sing in Latvian. Priecīgs Ziemassvētkus, happy holiday season. I hope that Leah will still have holiday season, but that's my small contribution to you. So thank you everyone and enjoy the rest of the breakfast and networking. Paldies, paldies jums.